Today, let's focus on some ways to improve our meditation practice and our spiritual growth. And we're going to do that by looking at the definition of meditation, contemplation, and oneness from chapter 3 of the Yoga Sutras. So it begins, an unwavering flow of attention is concentration. Unwavering concentration on the object chosen for contemplation is meditation. We have the idea that meditation is having a mantra or using breath awareness and just giving your awareness to that. That is a meditation technique, which is teaching you to concentrate. And once you can concentrate through your practice, then you're able to practice meditation because you can hold your awareness on your chosen ideal and keep it there until you have a direct experience and knowledge of what you want to know. Let's read that again. An unwavering flow of attention is concentration. First, we learn to flow our attention in a certain direction, whether it's mantra, breath awareness, or contemplation on an object. And that is just simply bringing your attention to the point. If you want to contemplate God, and you're sitting there, and you bring up this idea of God, the divinity as you know it, for that moment that you're able to do that, you're concentrating on God. However, usually what occurs is then we start thinking about other things, bills, food, relationships, whatever it might be. That concentration gets broken. So we bring our attention back to God over and over and over again, letting go of these distractions, until eventually that concentration continues. David Frawley, I remember one time he had said that concentration is bringing your awareness to a point, and meditation is turning that point into a line. So you're consistently holding that attention on that one point. Now, it goes on to say that the self-shining of the object of meditative contemplation is samadhi. And Mr. Davis writes, what is realized during samadhi is said to be self-shining, revealed or experienced as it is. There is no awareness of observing anything. Only the knowing experience of what was contemplated is present. Now, you've all been engaged in some sort of work or activity or hobby where you've forgotten everything else. Have you all had that experience? Whether it be listening to music or gardening or just anything you like to do, there will come a point in time when you're not even really aware of what's going on other than what you are doing. Then you are so absorbed in that activity, so absorbed in that state of consciousness that you are aware of nothing else. And so that is this self-shining of the object of meditative contemplation. That's it. That's all there is. And when you're meditating, after you've concentrated, you know where you're directing your attention. And that's a good point to keep in mind too. You have to know where you want to direct your attention. Whenever you sit down to meditate, decide, why are you meditating today? Do you want to know what God is? Do you want to know what your relationship is to the divine? What do you want to know? So sit down, this is what I want to know. And then you begin by practicing your pranayama or your mantra practice to help get you focused. It's like calibrating your nervous system, calibrating your mind so that you can direct your awareness to one point. Once the system is calibrated, then what you do is you start to contemplate that thing that you want to know. And how do you do that? You sit quietly, now that you're calm and relaxed and internalized, and you bring into your awareness, what is it like to know the truth of God? What is it like to know the reality of God? And you ask that question. And you have some concepts and ideas of what God is like, or what that reality of God is like. And you can start with that. Just see that, feel that, imagine that. And then continue to ask, what is it really like? What is it really like? Until eventually you experience a state where your awareness is just flowing in that direction, and then realizations start to emerge from within. Your idea, your concept of God may change, or you may lose some of your concept of God because you realize that that's not quite it. And you keep going in this direction until you have an absorption experience or a oneness experience where you are only aware of what God is. Nothing else. You are just aware of what God is. And you may not be able to have that make sense within the mind. So you may not be able to come out and write a thesis about it, but you have had a direct experience of what God is like. And once you've had that direct experience, okay, you can stay there as long as you want. If your attention gets distracted, then you use another meditation technique, more pranayama, more breath awareness, whatever it might be. And then you bring your awareness back to it. And you keep doing this until you know completely and totally what it is you want to know. And that may not happen in one meditation sitting. You may have to contemplate this for a couple weeks, or months, or years. And God is kind of a massive topic of contemplation. So it's something that you can probably explore for a lifetime. But again, that's what we're here to do, is to know directly what it is to be aware of God, to know what God is in relation to us, and where our place is within this wholeness of life. That's what we're here to contemplate, to figure out. Now, later on in this, in these sutras, Sutra 9 of Chapter 3 says, "The superior constructive influences of samadhi overcome and eliminate restrictive subliminal tendencies." The superior constructive influences of samadhi overcome and eliminate restrictive subliminal tendencies. So the subliminal tendencies that we're talking about here are all those little thoughts, all those little points of conditioning that fragment your awareness. And everyone here, I imagine, has a computer. And at some point in time, I imagine you've defragmented your hard drive, right? When you defragment your hard drive, essentially what you're doing is you are rearranging all these little bits and pieces of information that are scattered over a vast amount of space within this little disk, and putting it together so that it fits and it's easier to access this information, which is why it makes your computer run faster, quicker, and more efficiently. And what we're doing when we're practicing meditation and contemplation is we are training ourselves to let go of these distractions, to essentially defragment our consciousness so that when we return within, if we want to know something, the information can just appear spontaneously, not by the mind thinking about it so much, just by it coming into our awareness. And we have to remember that a lot of what many teachers say about the spiritual path is that really it's about learning to be appropriate in the moment. And in order to be appropriate in the moment, you have to have this sense of feeling connection to something greater than yourself, because otherwise you're going to spend a lot of time in anxiety trying to figure stuff out, when really by the time you figure it out, the moment has passed. You see. So what we're endeavoring to do here is, 1, meditate, concentrate, learn how to direct our awareness, figure out what it is we want to know, and focus on that until we know it. And don't be satisfied with partial knowledge. Partial knowledge, it's okay, but you have to go beyond that. And just like when Mr. Davis was talking with Yogananda, and he had asked Yogananda how many of the saints and the sages in Autobiography of a Yogi were fully and completely awake and enlightened. And Yogananda came back and said, not many. So many people were content to hang out in the bliss of God communion, but they don't endeavor to go all the way. Now, given this idea of God communion sounds like a pleasant place to be, but we don't want to be dependent on that. We want to experience peace and clarity within our consciousness, but we always need to ask, is there something more that I can know? Is there something beyond this? Is there something beyond this? And you keep asking, you keep meditating, realizations will keep occurring until eventually nothing else emerges. And you know what you need to know. You know all that you need to know. But it's going beyond even this identification of God communion. So, to reiterate, first of all, when we're practicing in the morning and at night, have an idea of what it is you want to know. Why are you meditating? Why are you doing your spiritual practice? Once you have that intention in mind, Simply sit, turn within, practice pranayama to calm the mind and still the emotions. It helps to settle you in. Once you're settled in, then you take up your meditation technique, whatever that might be, whether it's mantra, contemplation, chanting through the chakras. Practice that with the idea that what you are doing with that meditation technique is you are priming the pump to concentrate your awareness, to be able to hold your awareness in one spot without distraction. And once you are able to do that, then you move into the stage of contemplation. What is it like to know God? What is my relationship with the wholeness of life? And you don't have to stress out about this. You don't have to give yourself an aneurysm trying to focus. What you have to do is use your willpower, but gently, which means you're sitting there and you're alert and you're awake. And you're just asking, what is this all about? And you're quiet, and you're paying attention, and you're listening, and you're waiting. And you start to get a little pulled off track a bit with a distraction. So you just remember, okay, back on course. Turn within. What is it like to know God? You're quiet, you're waiting. And the waiting is where you're allowing space for the realization to come in. And that's why we ask and then we wait. Because we ask, and that sustains our intention. But then we wait so that our innate urge can come forth. And usually what you'll find is when you have realization, when you have an understanding or a breakthrough, either in life or your spiritual practices, it comes in a flash. It's not like it builds up, and then you have a little inkling of it, and you hear it in the distance, and you're sure it's coming, and you're waiting, and you're listening. What is that? And then all of a sudden, bam, there it is, like a train coming at you. It's more, you're sitting there, and whoa, there's a train. It's instant. It comes instantaneously. So we have to learn to concentrate our awareness and to hold that space for this to come in, for these realizations to come in. And we do this every single day. And this is how we grow, and this is how we grow spiritually speaking. And one thing that I found really useful to do to help keep on track is if you have a book, a spiritual book that you're reading, and it has some themes that you're interested in, that's why you're reading the book in the first place. It's got some themes that you're interested in. One really nice thing to do is once a week, or even a couple times a week, is to spend some time with that book, not just reading it before you go to bed, or in the morning, or after meditation, but decide that you're going to meditate a little bit longer, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes longer. And then what you do is you sit quietly after you've done your normal meditation routine, and then you take out this book, and you read a couple lines, or you read a paragraph, and you just read it not with the mind, but just trying to take in what this person is sharing. And then after you read a sentence or two or a paragraph, then you just again sit quietly with your awareness in the higher brain centers, breathing, waiting, watching, kind of feeling out what you've just read. And then when you feel inclined, you go back to the book again and you read another couple paragraphs or another sentence or two. And I found this has a really interesting effect to really deepen the meditation experience. And then it takes what you are reading and it makes it more real for you. It like ignites it within your consciousness. Consider that as something to do a couple times a week, or at least once a week. Find a book that you enjoy that has an interest for you. Spend some time, not rushing through it, just picking a passage at a time, contemplating what the author is sharing or what is behind the spiritual teaching. And that'll really help to deepen the process for you and improve your spiritual practice and your understanding of what this is all about. Well, let's meditate together then.